Captain America Civil War. You know, I honestly don't quite know what I was expecting from this movie, but it wasn't that. Just based on the trailers, it seemed like it was gonna be kind of dark and deal with some pretty heavy stuff, and it did, I guess, but it was a lot more fun and light than I was expecting. Which surprised me, but I think it worked in the movie's favor, all things considered. At the same time, though, it was more substantive than your average superhero movie. I genuinely didn't know where it was gonna go or how it was gonna end. And then when it did end, I was like, oh, yeah, I guess that's really the only way it could have gone. Without spoiling it, I thought the end of this movie was the best part about it because they could have just wrapped everything up in a nice little bow, but they didn't. And that's more than I expect from these big budget action movies. It asked some interesting questions and didn't act like there was a right or wrong answer, just differences of opinion. I don't know, that's pretty cool. Because going into this movie, I kept wondering which side the movie was gonna end up on. And yeah, I was surprised by how they handled it, in a good way mostly. I mean, as far as superhero movies go, this was a pretty good superhero movie. I mean, you know, I have my normal superhero movie hangups. It was too long, it was overstuffed, the fights went on too long. Even the one I was genuinely enjoying, this one right here, it could have been cut down quite a bit. Oh yeah, and whatever the effect they used on a lot of the fights, I don't know if it's like sped up footage or if they dropped some frames or something, but whatever it was, I hated it. My brain could not keep up with the action. I actually had to close my eyes at one point and give them a break. The camera's like moving like it's like 3 frames and all of a sudden we're cutting to a different shot. It was crazy. But aside from the action, all the stuff involving the various characters was handled pretty well. Everyone's motivations were set up clearly and they acted in a manner that made sense. Though I didn't really find Captain America that interesting. Like, there's nothing in this movie that really drew me to his character. He's just kind of got his principles and he's doing things. I mean, if anything, I sympathized more with Tony Stark. In my review of the final Civil War trailer, I talked about how I've gotten pretty tired of the character of Tony Stark. But honestly, this movie won me back. I liked him in this movie. His motivations made sense. He showed vulnerability. And speaking of vulnerability, I wish we had seen more of the main bad guy in this movie. His motivation wasn't clear at all until very late in the movie, which is a shame because he was pretty interesting and his story gave him some depth as a villain. It's just a bummer we don't find out why he's doing what he's doing until the movie's basically over. But that's because there was just so much they were trying to juggle here. Honestly, I think this movie could have benefited from having fewer superheroes in it. Like Spider-Man, I thought he was really fun in this movie. Don't get me wrong, Tom Holland did a really good job. But like, why was he there? Like, at a certain point, Tony just decides to go find him so he can fight for him. I mean, again, I really enjoyed Spider-Man in this movie for the time he was in it, but it was just like so out of left field and then all of a sudden he was gone again. Why? Spider-Man Homecoming 2017. At least Black Panther is given some motivation in this movie. Spider-Man's just kind of there. But even despite my hangups, it's kind of impossible not to compare this movie to the other superhero versus superhero movie this year. And man, compared to that movie, Civil War is a masterpiece. Just by virtue of the fact that it's so much more focused than that movie. And all the while juggling way more characters than Batman v Superman did. I mean, Civil War is not perfect by any means, but it definitely benefited from coming out a few months after BVS. That's all I'm saying. Normally when I go into a superhero movie, I'm not even asking that much of it. I just want to be entertained and not brain drained by the time it's over. Civil War asks some interesting questions, had a lot of funny moments, and had a pretty clever ending that honestly surprised me. That's a lot more than I ask of superhero movies these days, and that's why I'm recommending Captain America Civil War, even if you don't like superhero movies. For more thoughts on Captain America Civil War, be sure to check out my buddy Kevin's channel. I'll link to it right here. Oh, and special shout out to a guy named Thomas who came up to us in the theater and said he was big fans of our channel. You're awesome, Thomas. Thanks for saying hey. All right, guys. Hey, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe, and I will talk to you next time. Take care. Bye.